Standing here on the deck looking down at the garden this Sunday, it's just amazing what a difference it is. The summer garden is most definitely just about gone. Some of the new squash plants are starting to bear, and of course our Kentucky Wonder pole beans are still bearing, and the okra, which you can't even see from here, is still bearing, and there's a few tomatoes, and that's about it. Oh, of course there are pepper plants that are just starting to produce, but hopefully about the 1st of September I'll be able to put in some fall vegetables.
Hello, this is Robert. Welcome back to my channel. Today's video is going to be a little different. I guess we make all of them just slightly different. What we're going to do today is I'm going to show you some film that we recorded with my sister Pam. As you know, with COVID-19 we don't get together very often, but I'm going to show you her watermelon patch. She has raised some watermelons out at the Homesteads that have been unbelievable. We gardened there last year together and we raised a few melons, but nothing like what she's been able to raise this year. I think a lot of the growth in the watermelons has been due, of course, to all the rain.
And this right here, we're out at the Cumberland Homesteads, and this is Pam's little watermelon patch. They've outgrown off of the weed barrier, and she's been letting them go out in the yard and making sure she doesn't run over them. This is where the 43.7 pound watermelon was grown, and there are several more melons in here. They're not as big as that first one, but they're there. There's definitely some pretty watermelons in here. It's amazing what a little patch will do. Pam, how many watermelons did you plant?
5 plants.
Planted 5 plants, and this is 5 plants. It's amazing.
Let's do something that is exciting to me, very much so. I don't know many gardeners who don't truly enjoy opening a seed order. I sat down the other day. It was very difficult, if you'll remember, in the early 2020 of this year during the gardening season to find seeds. So I thought, you know, it wouldn't be a bad idea to go online now and see what's available. So I've bought some seeds. Some of this stuff I definitely intend to raise this fall. So I'm going to open my seed packet now and show you guys what I got that I'm going to raise this year. Papa Walt bought me that old Swiss Army knife. It's a keychain. I have used that thing for so many years. I would never have imagined I would have enjoyed it as much as I really do. Well, as is always, I went online to buy a few staples. And of course, I ended up buying a whole lot more than a few. So, I do like these. This order came from Park Seeds, and Park Seeds really does an excellent job of making sure their packets are sealed where no moisture can get in. Not everybody does this, but I will put these in my seed container. And when I say a seed container, I'm going to get that out here in a second and show it to you. I keep things listed alphabetically, and I keep my seeds in the freezer. I planted some seeds this year that were 15 years old. There was no problem with them coming up. And now stop and think about it. We know that the seed bank for the entire world is seeds that are stored inside a frozen cave inside of a frozen mountain. So if they can freeze seeds with the intention of raising them hundreds of thousands of years from now, it doesn't hurt to do ours. You don't have to. A lot of people may not have room in their freezer, but I find the little tote that I have in the freezer works very well for me. Okay, I was talking about my seed tote and I want to show it to you. And I know that a lot of you will have way more seeds than this, and I do too. Inside the door of our freezer, because we don't like using the door with anything that's really heavy, especially on the freezer I'm using. We have two, a small freezer and a large freezer, and then we have two refrigerators. But I have the type of seeds packets that you'd buy if you were a large farmer growing a 10-acre tract. I tend to buy big packs of seeds because I know that I can use those seeds year after year after year. And if it's a staple, like my family loves to eat brown Kentucky Wonder pole beans, or as they'd say on the other side of the pond, brown Kentucky Wonder runner beans. But that's just one of the things I buy. Corn, I've got probably 4 or 5 great big packs, maybe enough to sow a 50-acre patch of corn. I mean, I buy massive amounts of seeds. That's just me. And then when my family needs some seeds, I tend to have the seed when they can't find it. But what I do is, that's just little, it's labeled beans. It's just individual packets of little specialty beans. These are not beans that, here's one that I bought from Baker Creek that I know I bought at least for 2020, or no, 2019, and I've never planted them. I've got lots of different kinds of bean seeds. I have a lot of brassicas, different kinds of broccolis, broccoli rabe, collard greens, just different packs. I'm about low on carrots, so next time I'm online, I'll definitely be looking for some carrots. But that's just kind of an example. And kale, we like to eat a lot of kale. I've got different kinds. And one of my main things that I have tended to overbuy is lettuce. I've got all kinds of lettuce. K before L, make sure we get it back in here. And I already had some onion seeds of different kinds. A lot of these came from Baker's Creek, and I will be back on Baker Creek's website seeing what they have. But I just try to put everything in a quart bag and alphabetize it. This little thing just slides so easy right down on the bottom shelf. It's important that I have this. I want to make sure that in the coming years, I have seeds regardless of what's going on in this world of ours. At the start of 2020, I had no idea I wouldn't be able to get the seeds I wanted. So it was nice that I had lots of options. Next year, we've always raised heirloom tomatoes. The blight has kind of bit me in the butt, as the old saying goes. An heirloom tomato doesn't put on all of its tomatoes at one time. It will bear from the time probably about 60 days to 70 days, 75 days after that plant's put in the garden. And it'll continue to bloom right on till frost. And that's what we had in 2019. We had no blight in our garden. And our tomatoes, we had an overabundance of tomatoes. And they were all heirlooms. So what do I do this year? I ordered all heirloom seeds, and I only grew heirloom tomatoes because I really love the flavor. The only problem was blight hit my tomatoes. And heirlooms don't produce a lot of tomatoes at once. They come on, as I said, throughout the year. So I'm going back to a tomato that I raised. I know I've been raising this tomato for at least 30 years. And that's the hybrid tomato, Celebrity. And I ordered a couple of packs of those. They don't put as many seeds in there, but there's 30 tomato seeds per pack. That'll be plenty. I also ordered some pickling cucumbers. I have those. And this is something that I will be planting for the fall, and that'll be coming up. I'll be planting these within the next 2 to 3 weeks. This is Swiss chard. And Swiss chard here We'll cover it with frost cover as it gets later into October, but it shouldn't have any problem. And the wife and I love the bright lights. We love that different colored stem. The other seeds that I've got is my other Swiss chard. I have ordered shallots. Now, a lot of people probably don't like shallots, but we love flavor in our food. And if you've ever watched me do one of my little cooking presentations, flavor is something that I just try to make sure that when I'm making a dish, I just layer flavors. Shallots are a good way to do that. And that's 200 seeds on those. And I raised a few shallots this year, but not enough to know exactly. So I will be doing some research. And I find the best way to do research on how to grow something, to be honest with you, is go into YouTube and search growing and whatever the vegetable is. And I don't just watch one person. I want to see how 4 or 5, maybe 6 different people are raising that same vegetable. And then I will try to see what they're all doing consistently the same and getting good results. I just find that's great. Now, I have some different, oh, there's another shallot package. All right. Now, I also bought some black-seeded Simpson organic lettuce. One of the first lettuces that I ever really raised successfully was the black-seeded Simpson. And it is a lettuce that will grow even in warm weather. It grows in cool weather, but it doesn't tend to get as bitter in the warmer weather, and it doesn't bolt as quick. So I definitely wanted some of that. I've got some squash here that says Spineless Perfection. What type of squash it is, I'll have to go back and look at Park Seeds Company again to see. I must have liked it because I bought 2 packs of it. That's another lettuce seed. Oh, I must have really loved the lettuce. I bought 3 of those. This is something I'm going to try. There's 200 seeds in each pack. This is an onion, and it's called Walla Walla Sweet. And when I was reading through the descriptions, this is the seeds that are planted in Valdosta, Georgia. And we all know what Valdosta, Georgia area is well known for in onions, and that's the Vidalias. According to Park Seed, these are the onion seeds they're using. Will they do any good here in Tennessee? I don't think we're that much off from what Georgia's climate is. I think we'll do fine. So I'm definitely planning to raise some of those. And of course, I did have to get a few heirloom seeds from Park Seed, and this is the black creme. The black creme, for those that have not raised it, it's a dark tomato, and the top of it stays green. It never gets red on top, and it is a Russian tomato, to be honest. The black creme is, but it's one of my wife's favorites as far as flavor on a slicer. Of course, my favorite slicer is the Dr. Wikie's, but I guess everybody has their favorite. And I do like the Black Beauties. I like the flavor of the Black Beauties, so we'll get those as well. Terry likes also a salad tomato called the Green Zebra, so I've got a few seeds on those. And I bought multiple packs on most of these. Like I said, I can store these seeds in the freezer. I don't have to raise all of them next year. I did buy several different types of onions. This is the yellow granics. I bought 2 packs of those. That was a large yellow onion that had some very high ratings there. And there's another Swiss chard. As I said, I bought lots of packs of the same seeds. And here's an onion that I watched just a couple of weeks ago, Art and Bree. I follow Art and Bree on their YouTube channel, and Art and Bree, I remember Brianna made a comment. She says, now looking at these onions, you'd think that we were just masters at growing onions, and she says it's not necessarily us. She says it's the variety. And the variety was the candy sweet onions. So after watching them pull those softball sized onions up and they had a wheelbarrow full, I thought, yep, I'm going to try those as well. I like to see what other people are growing and try it as well. This is one thing that I had great difficulty getting in the spring. We had we had planted all of our spinach seeds, so I didn't have any spinach seeds to start with. So we didn't get much spinach at all this year in 2020 in early spring. So I'm going to grow this fall. I do know that because our falls, sometimes September is very hot. It really won't start cooling off until October, probably, maybe I've seen it as much as nearly the middle of October before it'd start cooling down here on the plateau. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't, but we have the frost cloth, so this should do well right on up until probably later in the year. But I do plan on planting spinach, and the variety on this is Space Hybrid. I have no idea if it's going to be all that good, but it's what's available. A lot of what I would like to have ordered, they're already out of seeds. And all seed companies, from what I understand, are having great difficulty getting seeds this year. So sometimes we can't be picky. I'm just going to make sure that I have spinach that I can grow and save a little bit. We have a little in the freezer, but very little. And of course, these are tomatoes. They're called Ladybug Hybrid. I've never grown those, but the picture looked good, and all the write-up in the descriptions and all the comments were good. That's more of the pickling cucumbers. That's more of the spinach seeds. As I said, I'm ordering 2 or 3 packs of all kinds of seeds. This is called a cucumber homemade pickle, homemade pickles. I've never raised this variety, but a lot of the varieties that I wanted to get seeds from, there were not any available. They were marked sold out, and they just didn't have them. More spinach seeds. Yeah, I couldn't buy seeds before, so these are 400 to a pack, so I've really loaded up on the spinach. I'm not going to run out for a few years. And this is a tomato hybrid called Braveheart. Never tried that one before, but I'm definitely going to be putting those into pots. And I'll start my tomato seeds a little earlier this year. I really probably need to get them out a little earlier, even if I have to cover them. In 2020 this year, I waited until after our last frost date, and actually waited a few days before that, before I actually put my plants in the ground. And then we set in and had one of the rainiest summers I've ever seen. And I think next year I'll go ahead and start early. I just soon lose them to frost as to lose them to rainy weather in the summer during the heat. And that's another pack of the celebrities. If you've not gone out and ordered your seed or gone online, I strongly suggest that you do so. Do not wait until the beginning of next year. I really think that because of COVID-19, and we still don't see an end, we still don't know when there will be a flu shot for it, if you want to call it a vaccine. We don't know when that'll be available or whether it'll even be successful. So I think that our world has changed, and we need to take that into consideration as we go into 2021. I'm going to have my seeds before the year gets here, and that's just me. Maybe you don't feel that way. I am saving quite a few seeds that'll be home saved seeds, but there are varieties that I don't have because I couldn't grow a good big garden this year. So what I have available is not a lot. So I went out and bought seeds. I'm urging you, do the same. Don't wait until 2021 and not be able to get any seeds.